I'm Christine Lisi. This just in. The MRI on the injured back of Buck star Giannis Antetokounmpo came back clean. He'll continue to get treatment, and the team will continue to monitor him. Game 2 of the first-round NBA playoff series versus the Heat is Wednesday night. The Eagles' top offseason priority, a long-term deal for quarterback Jalen Hurts, is done. The Eagles and Hurts agreed on a 5-year, $255 million extension, $179 million guaranteed. He becomes the highest-paid player in the history of the NFL, and the Eagles gave him the first no-trade clause in franchise history. So it's now on to other business for Philadelphia, notes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
Now it's just getting on with the business of turning their attention to the draft, continuing to build out this roster, find some defensive help, make sure that they're shored up at running back, and trying to make another run at it. They brought back some of their veterans, guys like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox wanted to come back, Brandon Graham wanted to come back. They feel like they're right there on the cusp. They were just a few plays away from winning the Super Bowl.
Stanley Cup playoffs start tonight with 4 matchups on the ESPN family of networks, including the Bruins welcoming the Panthers, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN TV.
When you're trying to hire and fill open jobs, the searching, screening, and interviewing can become its own job. You need Indeed, their powerful hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And welcome into a Monday edition of After Further Review. Musso sitting in for Scone. Scone's back with you tomorrow. Just a one-day absence here, but we're going to drive you home for the next 3 hours on ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Alexandria, of course, on WBTR TV as well. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill, they're along for the ride with me here on Monday, April the 17th. Plenty to get to. A lot of news going around college sports. A little bit to get in with the NFL. It's mock draft season, and now this late in the process, you're getting into 7-round mock draft season as well. So we have one of those to go through. This one comes from CBS Sports. We'll do that a little bit later on. Transfer portal opened back up on Saturday. Already a bunch going on there. We'll look at it, how it pertains to LSU football a little bit here. There is a smidge of Pelicans offseason news that I want to get to a little bit later on, as well as Willie Green could potentially be needing to replace a very valuable member of his staff. So we'll touch on that a little bit later on in the show. Speaking of the transfer portal, it's not just football. There's still plenty of news there with LSU basketball, as one transfer is now, again, official. So that gives Matt McMahon 3 officially in the boat. They had guys on campus this past weekend as well. So a lot to get to. Oh, and by the way, the quarterback market got reset in the NFL. We'll talk about that, especially because it means probably a bigger payday potentially for Joey B up there. So see how our guy might make out there, or if he maybe goes the route that other quarterbacks have gone and looks to win a ring a little bit more. So that's an interesting conversation. And oh, by the way, LSU baseball, they still haven't lost a series on the year. And that's where we're going to start and kind of go throughout the show talking a good bit about LSU baseball. Again, they win the series against Kentucky, but Jay Johnson also meeting with the media today. Air quotes, updating injuries on some and actually giving updates on other injuries. So we'll get to that later in the show. That's going to start the 5 o'clock hour. But we start with the actual series victory from over the weekend. 2 out of 3 over the Kentucky Wildcats. LSU now 29-6 overall. And there was a lot of good, and there was a good bit of not so good as well. The majority of that took place in game number 2 on Friday, which is where we'll start because, look, it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday weekend. When we were here on Friday, Matt was really able to recap game number 1. It was utter dominance by LSU. They won 16-6, hit 2 grand slams. Paul Skeens threw 6, struck out a baker's dozen. We all know how that one went. So you go forward into Saturday now, into Friday, game number 2. They have one more Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So we can just get back to the normal. We won't have to correct ourselves until the last week of the season when we get back to that. But game 2, Friday, Ty Floyd gets the ball for LSU. And Floyd, You know, it's kind of funny because so many of us have used the word inconsistent with Ty Floyd. And my hand's in the air on that. I have done that as well. Isn't he actually kind of consistent, though, at this point, right? He gets off to a slow start. He's going to settle in a little bit after that, and you see how far he can get you into the game. And that's what happened again this week. That happened against Arkansas, and he got you into the 7th inning after a slow start. It happened against Tennessee, and he got you through 5 after a slow start. You didn't give him really the chance against South Carolina. It was a slow start. He had a shutdown third, but then you yanked him and went to Garrett Edwards. You had to win that game, and you managed that game very similar to how you would a game 3 of a series, knowing it was most likely the last chance. And then against Kentucky, shaky start through innings 1 through 2, but gets you through 4 2/3 innings, and did so with the lead. I mean, when he left, LSU was up 6-3, and then the wheels fell off, which we'll get to momentarily. But he gets you a 3 up, 3 down first inning, pitches around an error. That was great. LSU's able to take the lead in the bottom of the first. Cruz singles, White doubles him home. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's just how things go with those two. It should be illegal to have them back-to-back in a lineup. It's not, thank goodness. LSU has reaped the benefits of that more often than not, especially when Kentucky just continually put Dylan Cruz on all weekend in front of Tommy White, sometimes intentional, which we'll get to, other times the intentional variety, and Tommy White came through time and time again. He did in that first inning. You have the 1-0 lead. Kentucky takes the lead back. LSU responds in kind in the bottom of the second inning, manufactured 2 runs beautifully at the bottom of the order, where you had the 2 guys, you had Thompson and DePaul both get on, Milazzo bunts, and Morgan Siegel's them home. So all of that's going in, and that's where Ty Floyd really started to settle in. The third inning, after having 50 pitches through the first 2 innings, he gets an 11-pitch third and a 10-pitch fourth, and by that point, LSU, off the strength of a Dylan Cruz double and a Tommy White 2-run homer, had taken a 6-2 lead, and you were in control of this ballgame. You were absolutely in control of this ballgame, and that's where the wheels started to fall off for LSU, and it happened in the 5th inning. And it happened because of two errors. One actually ruled an error, the other, because of the rules of baseball, not ruled an error. Both of them unacceptable, if we're being honest, for LSU. So let's go through the top of the 5th. Ty Floyd starts the inning, gets the first guy out, John Gray, for Kentucky, then gives up a single, then you have a fielder's choice. So you have a runner at first base and 2 outs. You end up walking Hunter Gillum. You have the mound visit where looks like it's very clearly said, okay, this is going to be your last batter one way or the other. Can you get him? Can you not? You move on. He doesn't. It's a single through the through the left side, and Kentucky's 6-3. You go to Griffin Herring. I loved the way that was managed by LSU and Jay Johnson right there. I thought it was perfect. Floyd had settled in. You're obviously going to see if you can get him through this inning. If he gives you 5, that's fantastic. You can start the next inning with Griffin Herring. You have Gavin Guidry. You have everybody there. He gets into a little bit of trouble. You have him go, okay, this is going to be your last hitter. There's a switch hitter on deck, so you'll move him to the right side where they like the advantage of better when you're looking at Felker. It just made an awful lot of sense to go to Herring there, and they did. And then Felker hits the scorcher down the third base line that White can't keep in front of him. It's a fielding error. It extends the inning, and then McCarthy, air quotes, triples to right field, hits a pop-up that Joe Bear runs after, overruns it, it drops in. Neither of those plays can happen. That is Tommy White is an All-American third baseman who's going to be a first-round pick next year. Yes, the ball was smoked at him. I understand. We've seen him make that play already this season. That's a play he has to make, and I'm guaranteeing you he would tell you that more than I will tell you that, more than Jay Johnson will tell you that, more than anybody, and that extended the inning. And then you have the dropped pop-up in right field, which is also unacceptable because Braden Jobert is a Division I outfielder. He's a Division I baseball player. He has made that play many times. He did it in that moment, and it was awful. Did that cost you the game? No. Did it change the game? Absolutely. But it did not cost you the game. Both of those errors in that inning, and I know Joe Bears is not technically an error, but we all understand what that was. Both of those moments changed the game, and one led to the other. The one person you don't put that on is Griffin Herring because he made 2 pitches to get out of that inning and couldn't, and it changed the game. You end up down 7-6 at that point, being in complete control We kind of know how the rest of it goes, right? You have another error, this time from Herring in the 7th inning. You give up another 5 spot. LSU comes with a rally in the 8th. It falls short, and you lose that game 13-10. There were other things ancillary to the error, right? You hit into 4 double plays. You had free passes that happened. I understand all of that. You scored 10 runs on 9 hits. That should be good enough to win. And if you don't commit 3 errors in that game, you do win that game. Kentucky impressed me a little bit more than I thought they would this weekend. I'll be brutally honest. The offense, while it's very unconventional, I mean, they're out there bunting with 2 outs in a case, bunting with 2 strikes, just doing things you don't see in the Southeastern Conference. Now, if this was the West Coast and the Big Sky or the Big West, whatever you want, you see it all the time. You just don't see it in this league, but they do it, and they do it extremely well. They put a lot of pressure on you, and LSU did not necessarily perform up to their standard in that game when pressure was put on them. And as disappointing as that is, it's because it's that disappointing because it feels like LSU lost that game and Kentucky didn't win it. It very much feels like you blew that opportunity because you were in complete control going to the 5th, and the wheels fell off there, and you could never really get them back on. My concern with that is leaving that game. That's the first time this season that LSU's played a game South Carolina, but that they have played a game that I thought to myself, man, that one could be one that you look at later in the year when it comes time for seeding in the SEC tournament and things of that nature. And I hope it's not. My sincere hope is that that is not what we have to do. But that was a game you were in complete control of and you didn't get. Now, on the flip side is they did it again. They bounced back. They showed the great resiliency. This team has not lost back-to-back games all season long. All season long. And they've had plenty of opportunities, too, where there was nothing but adversity. You go back to the South Carolina series, and they keep coming through. And they did it again in game number 3. And one massive change from the night before was no errors for LSU in game 3. That was huge. You also saw a couple really, really big performances on the mound. Yes, again, free passes, major problem on Saturday. They walked 8. LSU issued 28 walks over the course of 3 games. That has to improve. Like there just is. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what they need to do to improve that. That's not my job. That's Wes Johnson's job. And I have all the confidence in the world that he can do that. Can they go out and execute it? They have to get better at it. And I think it's in there because earlier in the year, this wasn't a problem for LSU. It really started to rear its head at the beginning of SEC play. It improved a little bit against Arkansas. It improved a little bit against Tennessee. It has been real bad the last 2 weeks. That has to get better. But because you didn't commit errors, you are difficult to hit the ball off of, you're able to get around some of those a little bit more on Saturday, and you were. LSU never fell behind in the way that they did on Friday night, right? They were always right there, and that's where I credit a lot of the pitching as well. Look, Christian Little, y'all, I know it didn't end great for him in the 4th inning, but he was literally perfect. He was perfect through the first 3 innings of that ball game. That's ultimately what you want. Now, can he build on that going forward in that role? That remains to be seen. You know they're going to look to stretch him out more. I wouldn't expect to see him until Sunday in Oxford this weekend. And look, he was great. Gavin Guidry, while he gave up a couple runs here and there, maybe not his sharpest, he never let the game get away from him. He kept LSU either tied or in the lead each time. That was huge. Bryce Collins is back. There is no other way to put it. After the slow start he had, everyone looked at it and said, that's the guy who has to come through for you here towards the end. That he's got to get better and be able to be counted on. And he was this weekend. Awesome. 2 1/3, shutout, 4 Ks. Curveball looked fantastic. He was in complete control. He stabilized the game on the mound when nobody else could outside of Christian Little to open it up. That was Bryce Collins. It was great. The lineup just did what they did. 7 runs, 9 hits. Kept plucking away, manufactured runs. You had 2 Jared Jones homers in the ball game. But the big moment for me is the bottom of the 7th inning for LSU when you got 2 outs already. You're down 6-4 at that point. Jordan Thompson comes up with a clutch 2-out, 2-strike double that scores Morgan. And then Cade Beloso comes up right behind him in an 0-2 count in singles to tie the baseball game back up. And we know what happened in the 8th inning. They walked Dylan Cruz intentionally to load the bases to face Tommy White. And Evan Byers hits Tommy White on the very first pitch, and LSU scores that run there. It's baffling to me That's how the series started, and that's how the series ended. Bookend intentional walks to Dylan Cruz to get to Tommy White, and neither of them worked for Kentucky. That is a head-scratching decision for me when it comes to Nick Migione. The one on Thursday in the first inning, I can kind of understand. In the bottom of the eighth with a series on the line, that's one that I think if you ask Nick Migione about the rest of the year, that one's going to haunt him for the rest of the year. But ultimately, they've now made it through the first 5 weeks of Southeastern Conference play. They have not lost a series. They have arguably the best core of the best 5 series wins in the country, let alone the conference, where you look what Arkansas is doing. They're still playing well. A&M starting to play better. They've got some key pieces back in the lineup. That's going to continue to be a great win for LSU. Kentucky is still ranked number 1 in the RPI after you take 2 wins from them. That's a huge momentum boost for you there. And South Carolina getting the split there is awesome. Tennessee, the Volunteers, maybe not as great as we thought they might be this year. They're 5-10 in the league now, but that's still going to be a quad 1 win for you all the way through March, all the way through May and into the NCAA tournament for you. So you've done exactly what you need to do. We can get bent out of shape about Saturday, kind of freak out a little bit there in the moment. It's a frustrating loss. I get it. They've lost 6 games all year, guys. And I know the old saying, winning masks deficiencies. I don't really necessarily know if that's true with LSU. You see what's wrong with this team. They're just getting away with it. They're winning in spite of it, not winning and you're just brushing it aside. They need to get better, but it has not really impacted them in a series loss yet. This weekend could be a little bit different. You go on the road, you walk 28 in Swayze Field, and I don't care that Ole Miss is down. That's going to be a really, really hard position to overcome if you do that. So that's going to be massive to look forward to. But you're right where you want to be at the halfway point of SEC play. You haven't lost a series. You're still ranked number 1 in the country. You've lost 6 games all year. See if you can't continue to get healthy, fix some of the issues that ail you. Your schedule lightens up. Go make a run at this thing, and we'll see how it turns out. We got plenty more LSU baseball to come throughout the show. Right now, we're going to grab our first break here on a Monday AFR presented by Relief Windows. Musso's in for Moscona, talking transfer portal and LSU football next here on AFR.
AFR.
If you are even thinking about selling your home, I'm going to give you a phone number. I'm going to give you the only phone number that you will need. I'm going to give you Darren James's phone number. It's Darren's cell. Like, you can call this number, you can text this number, and you are literally calling or texting the phone number that Darren James has in his pocket or on his hip. I'm talking about the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. A guy on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America based on the number of homes sold. You ready? 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Of course, you can go to the website, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need to maximize your return on the home, you want a hassle-free, pleasant experience, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get 3.99% financing on select 2023 models. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Otter Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. That's mold-0usa.com. Check them out online. I tell you this all the time. If you notice mold, if mold is a problem, or even odors, Mold Zero can help. And so often people see mold and they think, we're going to have to cut sheetrock. We're going to have to pull things out of the wall. No. With Mold Zero, this is easy. This is minimally invasive with little or no disturbance in that respect. They'll come in. They will spray their fog. You let it dwell. Wait about a couple hours or so for the fog to dissipate. Then you go back into your home. That fog gets into every nook and cranny, so it kills mold and other pathogens. It'll remove odor. They service the entire greater Baton Rouge and greater New Orleans area. So check them out at mold-0usa.com to get that free quote and estimate. mold-0usa.com.
NCAA transfer portal window, it opened back up on Saturday, April the 15th. It'll be open until the 30th of April, so just the end of this month, 15 days. But, man, it has already been fast and furious in the transfer portal. You already saw guys, announcing their intentions before officially going into the portal when it opened back up on the 15th. You'll see a lot of that in around the SEC in the next segment. Most of it is transfer portal news throughout. But I think the main question now is, look, it's the second window. This is obviously a different – it's the first time you're experiencing having the two different, so it's new for players, for coaches, for programs alike. Brian Kelly, whenever he met with the media a couple of days ago, last week, his media availability last week during spring, talked about it, was asked if the needs in the transfer portal had changed, and the way he went about answering it was maybe not the needs per se. Like, you're still looking at offensive line. You're still looking at a couple positions on defense. What you're literally looking for it now is for depth purposes, not to have somebody come in and maybe take over a starting lineup spot at any of the positions. And we've talked an awful lot about the needs. And look, offensive line is obviously the one where you look at most. That's where LSU saw the most of their players enter the portal this offseason. We're a lot of reserve offensive linemen. So you have really your starting five back. We've talked about that plenty. It's building that depth. And you've already brought in Lunsford, right, from Maryland. I think a lot of people might want to see what's going to happen with Caleb Etienne from Oklahoma State. Big offensive lineman, played left tackle, was Oklahoma State starting left tackle. He's a New Orleans kid, so Louisiana native. You've seen that really be an area where Brian Kelly has excelled at in the transfer portal, really targeted in the transfer portal, is always those Louisiana guys. I think an interesting thing with him, though, is what I just said. He was a starter at Oklahoma State, so everything kind of checks out there. Louisiana kid, Power 5 starting experience, all of that, like a guy that you would want if you're at LSU. But I think when you look at him in his case is if LSU's not looking for starters, what does it do for him? He was a starter at a Big 12 program. He's probably going to look to go be a starter somewhere else, I would think. Maybe not. That's why I think that is a interesting option for LSU. So, if he would want to take a step back, maybe be a backup, that'd be a great depth piece to have, obviously. And then, look, there's Matthew Wyckoff, the center from Texas A&M, who everyone talked about a lot last week when he entered the transfer portal as a potential option there for Brian Kelly and LSU. I think outside of the offensive line, though, is where it gets really interesting. And Kelly talked about two positions on defense needing depth built up there too, safety and linebacker. And linebacker is the one for me where I think is, if it's not offensive line, is the biggest need for LSU to build depth. You did a great job along the defensive line in the first portal window where you brought in, guys like Paris Shand and Jalen Lee and just a bunch of different guys. You built that position up great, and you feel really good about that. Brian Kelly talked about linebacker last week as well and said it was an area of concern that now they look at as a strength. That makes a lot of sense when you know you have Harold Perkins there, you have Greg Penn, Ogie Agofu, like you have a bunch of guys who you expect to come in and immediately start. The depth is where it gets really thin. You have the Weeks brothers and you have Christian Braithwaite coming in as a freshman. You've got to build up that position out of the transfer portal here in this second window. So if you're talking depth, you have to be talking linebacker for me when it comes to LSU and what you want to build up there. I think what's also interesting is what needs arise, right? So we know about all offensive line, linebacker, safety. What needs might arise? I find it hard to believe that LSU is going to end spring here this Saturday and not have somebody jump into the transfer portal after the spring practice period. It happens every year for every program. Guys go in, they see where they're going to be, and they make a move. Maybe that doesn't happen as much from LSU. The only one reason I can think is because of the injuries. You've had so many guys out this spring and had others step up and maybe move positions around that maybe your depth chart isn't as clearly defined in some spots. But I mean, look, obviously, like I said, we just went through your starting linebackers who you know right now are going to be there. You kind of know what you have at wide receiver and how that depth's going to shake out with Neighbors, with Brian Thomas, with Chris Hilton, with guys like that. Running back, I think, is a very interesting spot for LSU, but those guys kind of seem set. But you do have a heavy room there a little bit, but that's another spot. You've had a lot of injuries, so maybe your depth chart isn't as set, but makes a lot of sense. You'd think Josh Williams is going to get a line share of the load again like he did last year. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen with John Emery. He was focusing on school throughout spring, get that in order, and then football becomes his focus again. Noah Kane. You have the two freshmen coming in, although it seemed like Jackson was injured really for the majority of it. But that's the thing, right? You know linebacker, you know offensive line. What other needs maybe arise for what happens with LSU? Because there's going to be a few guys. There is all the time. So that's interesting as well. Remember, you can sign guys out of the portal at any time. You just have these two different windows now for them to enter, right? You had the one in the winter, and now you have this one April 15th. So that was Saturday through the 30th, where guys can re-enter the transfer portal, and you can sign them. You can sign them whenever. So we will see. I'd like to keep an eye, though, on Caleb Etienne for the offensive line. Again, Matthew Wyckoff, right? Just the names that we talked a little bit about last week. And linebacker for me, that's the one to put a big circle around because you really only have three reserves, and you cannot risk injury there. You love your front line, but, man, once you get past that, it gets real thin in the linebacker room for LSU. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side, continue transfer portal talk, really, but more centered around LSU basketball. Somebody on campus they had a guard on campus this past weekend. You had another transfer we announced last week that is now official in Will Baker. You know the destination for a former LSU Tiger now, so plenty of movement on the roster for Matt McMahon. We'll go around the SEC as well. It's Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Musso's in for Moscona. Stay here. We'll be back with more.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. That's me. That's Ryan Terrio. That's Richard Tilley. And no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, if you have an issue with your roof, we can help. From the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial job, we got the crews, staff, all of the products ready to roll to help you today. So give us a shout at Hudco Roofing. Again, in the 225, the 504, the 337, the 318, we'd love to help you at Hudco Roofing. And we're never going to oversell something. For example, we got a great coating product. Maybe a roof replacement isn't what's best. Maybe it can be repaired, or a coating product, which is about half the price of a roof replacement and comes with a 20-year guarantee. We'd love to go over the options with you. It's Hudco Roofing. Online, HudcoRoofing.com. That's HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look.
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Otter Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Oshner. Saturday, April 22nd.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Every $5 donated donated to Dreams Come True gets you an entry into our raffle and some great prizes. This year in the raffle. How about a 3-day, 2-night stay at the CMA Music Festival in Nashville? That's Friday, June the 9th through the 11th. It's a Friday through a Sunday. You have an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture. Many, many more great prizes. Every $5 donation to Dreams Come True gets you in there. You can donate at 1045ESPN.com today. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented by Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, Patient Plus, and Louisiana Federal Land Bank. We're going to go around the SEC here momentarily. Musso sitting in for Moscona on Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. But talk a little bit LSU basketball here. They've made another transfer official. That's Will Baker, 7-footer, now officially announced by LSU basketball. They put out the graphic and whatnot, and it stays the same, right? Get a lot of size with him, but it's mainly offense that you're going to get with Will Baker. I keep wanting to say Will Barker. It's not his name. It's Will Baker. You get a lot of offense with him. Averaged 13 and 5. Shot 50% from the floor last season, did Baker. And 35% from 3. So you look maybe a little bit kind of like KJ Williams, right? Not as efficient, I guess, from behind the arc as him, but that type of big is what you're getting with him, and that's huge. So that's now 3. That's now 3 for LSU officially out of the transfer portal. Of course, Jordan Wright coming from Vanderbilt, Jalen Cook coming from Tulane, coming back to LSU actually from Tulane, and now you have Will Baker for the Tigers as well, and Matt McMahon. So he's doing work, and he might not be done, honestly. Joseph Girard. Joe Girard was on campus this week for LSU. Guard who's entered the portal out of Syracuse. It might be a little bit of a tougher pull for LSU potentially, but averaged 16, 3 and 3 last year, shot 40%. Really strong from behind the arc, man, at almost 39% last season. So he announced the transfer portal. He's also going through the draft process, but was on campus this weekend and seemed to enjoy his visit, man. Posted all the pictures on social media of him in the uniform, things of that, thanking LSU for a great time. It'd be a huge get, but again, he'll go through the draft process. It'd be a very experienced player if LSU could get him 123 starts at Syracuse for him over the past 4 seasons and averaged better than 32 minutes a game in those. So he also holds the career 3-point shooting percentage mark at Syracuse. To just show you how skilled he would be from behind the arc, which was LSU's biggest problem last year. That'd be scoring easily, and you've added some nice scoring already with Baker, with Jalen Cook. If you get a guy like Joe Girard in the boat, that's going to be huge, huge, huge for Matt McMahon. He was on campus. We'll see how that goes, going through the draft process and whatnot. Last bit of transfer news for LSU is kind of a guy going out of transfer, right? Adam Miller, of course, entered the transfer portal, and today we learned his destination. He will be playing his ball at Arizona State to finish out his career. So best of luck to Adam Miller there. Root for that guy. It just never really materialized the way we thought it might at LSU for Adam Miller, and hopefully it can a little bit better for him at Arizona State. Somebody who you thought was really going to be that scoring threat, and when it was good, it was really good. It just was not nearly consistent enough, especially after the injury where he missed his entire first year at LSU. And Matt McMahon got him to stick around, just never really materialized the way you wanted. So Adam Miller out. We know he's going to Arizona State. Will Baker, Jordan Wright, Jalen Cook all in. Joe Girard on campus. And, of course, there's still some big fish out there. Everybody's still keeping an eye on Carlos Stewart and what might happen with the Santa Clara transfer if he does indeed end up back in his hometown, back in Baton Rouge. So plenty more dominoes to fall. LSU basketball, Matt McMahon transfer portal, but already a really nice start getting those 3 in the boat. We're not going to grab a break. We're going to go around the SEC right now here on AFR.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Georgia Bulldogs.
Getting ahead of myself there. Bulldogs sophomore defensive lineman Bear Alexander entered the transfer portal over the weekend. News comes as a bit of a surprise. Alexander was thought to be a replacement for Jalen Carter as a true freshman. Played 163 defensive snaps for Georgia, finished with 9 tackles, 3 of them for loss, and 2 sacks. He was ranked the number 56 prospect in the class of 2022. Chose Georgia over just about every major program in the country, but Bear Alexander, he'll finish his career elsewhere than Athens.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Wide receiver Marquez Dortch entered the transfer portal today, Monday. A former Ole Miss commit flipped to Mississippi State in November of 2021. Was a top 50 prospect out of high school, but played just 1 game during the 2022 season, recording 1 catch. He now also looks for greener pastures.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Former Louisville guard L. Ellis, great name, committed to Arkansas today. Ellis spent the last 2 seasons with the Louisville Cardinals after coming from a junior college. Past season averaged 17 and 4, scoring at least 28 points on 5 different occasions. 6'3", 180 pounds. Ellis has 1 year of eligibility remaining and becomes the 5th transfer addition of the offseason for Eric Musselman and the Hogs.
The Florida Gators.
Gators men's basketball landed a big commitment out of the transfer portal today as well. 6'10", 235-pound big man Tyrese Samuel pledged to the Gators. He comes to Gainesville from Seton Hall, where he averaged 11 and 6 a season ago. A forward-center combo is Samuel. Posted 8 double-doubles in his career with the Pirates. 1 year of eligibility remaining. Is Florida's 4th addition out of the transfer portal this offseason.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
4-star wide receiver for the class of 2024, Rico Scott, committed to Nick Saban and the Tide on Sunday morning. Scott ranks as the number 55 wide receiver in the country, according to the 247 composite, the 11th best player in the state of Pennsylvania. Saban and the Tide casting a wide net. A speedy wide receiver, mainly operates out of the slot, but will also line up in the backfield, catch passes from the running back spot. First commitment for Alabama in the 24 class in almost 4 months. Brings their total up to 5 in the latest recruiting cycle. College baseball scores and series results from around the SEC. Texas A&M took 2 of 3 from Missouri. Aggies won the first 2 games in dominant fashion before the Tigers salvaged the finale. We got a bunch of rubber matches this weekend. Obviously, Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss State, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, and also Vanderbilt, South Carolina, kind of the series of the weekend. It was the Doors winning the rubber match there behind a great outing from lefty Dylan Futrell. So they take that series 2-1 over South Carolina, extend their lead in the Southeastern Conference. 2 full games for Vanderbilt. Mississippi State took the series in the rubber match over Ole Miss. Hunter Hines with a late home run in the 8th inning put the Bulldogs ahead. They would never relinquish. The Florida Gators took the series over the Georgia Bulldogs, winning the rubber match. 2 home runs from Jack Caglione in that game, including a grand slam in the 8th inning. 11-6 was your final. Alabama took the series over Auburn, winning that rubber match. And the Arkansas Razorbacks swept the Tennessee Volunteers. Pretty dominant fashion, kind of all 3 games for Arkansas. Tennessee now 5-10 in the league. Arkansas leading the West at 11-4. That's around the SEC. It's brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. They bring it to you every single day here on After Further Review. A little bit more there on the SEC baseball weekend. No road team got the victory in a series. Not one. Only 1 sweep. The rest were 2 out of 3s. But all home teams, 7 home teams with victories this week in the Southeastern Conference. Get you a little bit of a look at the standings. Told you Vanderbilt leads the SEC right now at 13-2. They have a full 2-game lead in the standings. Arkansas and Florida are next at 11-4. It's wild. We were talking about LSU. As good as they've been, and as good as their wins have been, their series wins have been over the likes of Arkansas and Tennessee and A&M and Kentucky and splitting with South Carolina. And they're the unanimous number 1 team in the country yet again this week. They have been the entire season. If the SEC tournament started today, LSU would be the 6th seed. They wouldn't even get a bye. The league is insane this year. Now, you're only halfway through. You have a ways to go, obviously, still. And some of that's going to shake out. You're going to get things tougher. Vanderbilt just played South Carolina. They won that. But, look, they got Kentucky next weekend. So, Kentucky has A&M. Vanderbilt has Tennessee. Oh, that's rough for Tennessee. Good Lord. So it's not going to ease up for Vanderbilt yet, actually. They're going to probably win that series. Might even sweep that series, if we're being honest. They do have to go to Knoxville, which is interesting, but lots of left shake out. But isn't that absurd, right? LSU, as good as they've been, 29-6, leading the number 1 in the country, to be the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. We'll see how the rest of things shake out. Of course, LSU only going to play 29 games because of the rain out at South Carolina. Real quick, shout out to Tommy White as well, SEC Player of the Week. So that's a great honor for him. He had multiple RBI in all 3 games this weekend against Kentucky. Had the game-winning RBI, or game-deciding RBI, I guess I should say, in 3 of LSU's 4 games this weekend. All 3 of them were the wins, obviously. So he continues to be awesome. 62 runs batted in. It's crazy. You think back to the beginning of the year where he gets hurt game 1, misses basically all of that game, but did log an RBI. Misses the next 4. If Tommy White doesn't miss 4 games, he's well over 70 RBI already on the year. Like, the pace that he's on is insane. It helps where he's hitting in the lineup behind Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, and normally Gavin Dugas, and those guys. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. But man, I guess the power numbers are down. He's leading you with 12 homers. He's not going to hit the 27 that he did last year, but he has been every bit as advertised offensively since he's come in, and has played a really nice third base for the majority of the season for LSU as well. So Tommy White's been great. SEC Player of the Week, yet another honor for LSU baseball. We're going to grab a break. Got ahead of myself there before we're on the SEC. Now we're going to grab our break. Come back, wrap up hour number 1. Saints had another former LSU Tiger in for a visit or a local day. We'll tell you who that was. And another Saint, or I should say former Saint, has left in free agency and gone to Atlanta. We'll talk about that as well to close out hour number 1 here of After Further Review.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Do you realize the very first NIL deal the Gordfather did was with Alexis Morris? It was the very first one. Of course, did a deal with the entire Lady Tiger basketball team. Kim Mulkey as well. Gordon has been a great supporter of women's athletics and certainly the women's Tigers basketball team. I don't think I can say the 3 letters, but you know what I'm saying. Been a great supporter of so many other programs at many different places. But as we celebrate the Tiger National Championship, Gordon certainly deserves a big hat tip at the center of all that as well. And look, if you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault, do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888, 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon on all the social media. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A woman convicted for a killing that happened 4 decades ago tried to get her plea she signed tossed out, claiming her sentence was illegal. But rolling the dice came with a big risk, and it was one that she wasn't willing to take. She withdrew her request, and tonight a judge told her this can never come up again. An update to a cold case murder that led to a conviction. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP, plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Back here on a Monday edition of AFR, closing out hour number 1. Musso filling in for Moscona here. Scone's back with you tomorrow, so not a long absence. He'll be back in the chair tomorrow, and he'll catch up on everything that he missed while he was out today. You know what? We always make the joke that when Scone's out, something massive happens. That has not happened yet today. Normally, a player gets traded, signed, coach gets fired or hired. Commitments, normally massive things. Like last time, the women made the Final Four, or they made the national championship game while he was out, and then he's back the Monday when they won it. So there's massive things normally happen. So far, so good today. So we'll talk to him when he gets back tomorrow. He'll drive you home 3 to 6. Couple notes on the New Orleans Saints here as we close out hour number 1. The Saints have seen now a third player leave in free agency and go to Atlanta. So the Falcons are continuing to employ their strategy of, if you can't beat the New Orleans Saints, become the New Orleans Saints. That's obviously what they're doing. Obviously, Terry Fontenot goes there a few years ago in player personnel. Then you have Ryan Nielsen leave the Saints, become the defensive coordinator at Atlanta. He brings David Onyemata and Caden Ellis with him in free agency. Now Ethan Greenridge is off to the Atlanta Falcons. His agents announcing that move. Greenridge was an undrafted free agent for the Saints in 2019, inactive for his whole rookie season, but did play 15 games for the Saints along the offensive line in 2020. Really a nice backup there for them at left tackle. Did not play in any of the games the last 2 seasons. Placed on season-ending IR in August, both of the years. Now he will be a member of the Atlanta Falcons. So not a massive loss, I guess, for the New Orleans Saints. It's a body that you lose. You wish him, well, actually, you don't really wish him the best because he's going to Atlanta. I mean, if he gets on the field, great. I hope they lose every game that they play. So, again, the age-old strategy for the new Atlanta Falcons, if you can't beat them, become them, as they sign their third former Saint in free agency. The Panthers kind of doing that a little bit as well, although they swept you last year. So, not necessarily the same thing that applies. So, he's out the door. Who are the Saints going to bring in the draft? That's been a great conversation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that to start next hour as well, with a 7-round mock draft from CBS Sports that we'll go through. But one thing that everybody, and I mean everybody, always loves to talk about is the possibility of the New Orleans Saints drafting LSU Tigers. And that possibility has once again presented itself, and it's one that I really actually like. So Ali Gaye gave an interview to the Draft Network. I'd recommend you go read through it. It's actually fantastic. He talks about his journey coming over to the United States from Gambia, going through junior college, adjusting to the United States, then LSU, injuries at LSU. He goes through really all of it, and it was a great read, and I encourage you to go see it. Okay, it's at the Draft Network. But what was interesting in it was, aside from talking about his game and where he can take the next steps at the next level and things of that nature, he was asked kind of which teams he had been visiting with in person, also in Zoom. A lot of them were Zoom meetings, he said. He got his top 30 visits, right? Most of them have been on Zoom, but he was at a couple of local days, and one of them was the New Orleans Saints. I'd be very much in favor of this. Obviously, I think everybody would be here. You love when the LSU guys end up there, draft, free agency, whatever. And you've seen a few of them. Obviously, Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, the most recent. But Ali Gaye has such a high ceiling, and he seems like such a value pick that you could get later in the draft if you're the Saints. Edge rusher's a need. If you want to take multiple, you can. And Ali Gaye, with the great length, he seems like he fits the profile of somebody who could really become a dominant pass rusher at the next level. And you've seen the Saints in the past in their organization take chances on guys who maybe don't have that much experience in football, right? Ali Gaye hadn't been playing football all of his life like so many have. But that's why he's still still a project. You can still mold him into the player that potentially you want. And that's something the Saints have had a lot of success with, especially along the defensive line. I'm aware Ryan Nielsen was a big part of that, and he's in Atlanta now, as we were just joking about. But I really would like that option for the New Orleans Saints, Ali Gaye, if they do choose to take it. He's been in the building. Grab a break, come back. Hour number 2 of After Further Review is next.
AFR.
We remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's where you can check them out, Michelli.com. Remember, at Michelli, they do offer ISO 17025 accreditation. You can learn more at Michelli.com and other accreditations and standard calibrations as well. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All of their different services and products are at the website. The website is a great virtual font of resources. So many times clients will say, oh, I didn't know you did that. So go to Michelli.com. The track system that they offer is a great asset. Track records, assets, and calibrations. It's an acronym. And what this allows you to do is track the status of the calibration of your devices. And then it also gives you a record of those calibrations at your fingertip online for free, 24/7, 365, so you can be more efficient. Michelli Weighing and Measurement.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Otter Medical Complex at the Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Otter. Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com. All right.
I'm Christine Lisi. Jalen Hurts will be in Philadelphia for years to come. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the Eagles and their franchise quarterback agreed on a 5-year, $255 million extension, $179 million guaranteed, and a no-trade clause, the first in Eagles franchise history. It is amazing how much the narrative surrounding Hurts has changed in just a year, notes ESPN's Kimberly Martin.
Last year, we were asking, can Jalen Hurts actually be the guy? He's got the intangibles. He's a great leader. But we know that his game needs to improve. but can he be not just a franchise guy, but a guy that can deliver a Super Bowl? Well, guess what? He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. He got the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and he deserves every single bit of that contract.
Kimberly Martin on First Take. After an NHL record-setting season, the Bruins open up the Stanley Cup playoffs against the Panthers tonight, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN TV. Captain Patrice Bergeron, a game-time decision for Boston with an upper body injury. Boston Marathon, defending champ Evans Chebet of Kenya won the men's race. Helen Obiri of Kenya was the women's winner.
When you're trying to hire and fill open jobs, the searching, screening, and interviewing can become its own job. You need Indeed, their powerful hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. That's right.
Welcome into hour number 2 after further review. Musso filling in for Moscona here on this Monday. Show presented to you as always by Relief Windows. Jacob Beck and Paul O'Neill along for the ride. 1 hour in the books, 2 more hours left to go. Still a lot to get to. We're about to get into a 7-round NFL mock draft. Look at it from both an LSU and Saints perspective. That's how we'll begin this hour. We got to talk about Jalen Hurts resetting the quarterback market, what it means for 3 other quarterbacks still looking to get paid, and one of them being Joe Burrow. Willie Green may be having to replace one of his key staff members as well. So a touch of the Pels offseason. And Jay Johnson met with the media. So we got plenty of more LSU baseball to come along as well here as the show continues. But as I said, we will start the 4 o'clock hour with a 7-round NFL mock draft. This one coming to you from CBS Sports. Ryan Wilson took a stab at all 259 picks in this year's NFL draft, which, man, that's just got to be a giant undertaking that takes up a lot of time putting together a 7-round mock draft. We appreciate you doing it, though, there, Ryan Wilson, and we're going to go through it and break it down and see what you did for the Saints, see where some LSU guys land as well. We'll start at the top, though. The battle, right, for number 1, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, for what it's worth. Ryan Wilson at CBS Sports has C.J. Stroud going number 1 overall and Bryce Young going number 2. That's interesting. Bryce Young, for what it's worth, is the favorite in Vegas to be the number 1 overall selection by the Carolina Panthers. But those two are interchangeable. It's just really going to come down to which team likes who the most in that spot. When you go to the Saints, though, at pick number 29, you move on. So no LSU guys in the first round. So we'll talk about the Saints first. Sorry about that. Headphones just shorted out. That threw me for a loop. Anyway, the New Orleans Saints at pick number 29, defensive lineman, defensive tackle, to be specific, Brian Bresee. It's a spot of great need. Really along the defensive line as a whole is a spot of great need for the New Orleans Saints, whether it's on the edge where you don't really know what you're going to get out of Peyton Turner at this point in time, whether it's defensive tackle where we made light of it plenty here where they only had one defensive tackle signed under contract. So Brian Bresee would be a great pick. The tape, a little bit mixed bag in 22, but man, before that, he was one of the best defensive linemen, one of the best defensive tackles in college football. Had the ACL injury. Obviously, that cost him part of the season, and a family tragedy and an illness cost him to miss much of last year. But when he's been out there on the field, he's been great. Is it maybe a little bit of a reach there at 29, given those circumstances? Potentially, but I guess that'd be the only gripe with the pick is, can you get him a little bit later? Maybe. But if he's there at 29 and that's where you're going, you're looking for defensive lineman there, he'd be a pretty solid pick, I think. I mean, it's the longevity of what you saw at Clemson stands up to him being still a first-round draft pick, projected here even after an ACL injury, after the trials that he went through last year in his final year there. So, for what it's worth, CBS Sports has him as the 25th best prospect of the draft. And we talk about it often. the New Orleans Saints. We played a cut from Dennis Allen on this show multiple times, both when I filled in for Matt, both when Matt's been here, multiple times of Dennis Allen talking about the way the Saints approach the draft, right? They don't necessarily approach it needs, they approach players. They think players instead of needs. They normally go with the best available at that pick. So that would probably check out here, at least based on CBS Sports rankings there. So they haven't taken Brian Breesy, defensive lineman out of Clemson, defensive tackle, to be more specific, at pick 29. For the first LSU player off the board, it's B.J. Ojulari, 33 overall to the Texans. We're going to come back to go through the LSU guys, but as I scrolled, I saw him. So that'd be good. I think that tells you kind of what a lot of people think, right? He's fringe, early second at the latest, but maybe he gets in to the first round if somebody falls in love with him. So that'd be great. Mocked there, B.J. Ojulari to the Texans. You wish he could end up with a better team, but if you're going early in rounds, we know how this goes. So at number 40 for the New Orleans Saints in round 2, before we get back to LSU, Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama, running back. I'd love it. I would absolutely love that pick for the Saints. Running back, obviously, we've talked an awful lot about that. You get Jamal Williams in free agency from Detroit. Y'all know I love that pick. We talked about them wanting them to go do that before free agency even kicked off. So I love that pickup for them. But Alvin Kamara, most likely, we don't have to rehash all of it, probably going to get a 6-game suspension this year, though, when you look at the hearing and everything progressing in his court case out in Las Vegas. And not only that, is it, AK is getting up there a little bit. Is it time they start looking towards their future? Jahmyr Gibbs would fit an awful lot at New Orleans, right? I mean, that guy is what they look for in a running back. All of us saw it up close and personal, his ability catching the ball out of the backfield and creating big plays in the game against Alabama. We all remember Major Burns chasing him down, and what a key play in that game that is. So Jahmyr Gibbs really started breaking out there, coming into his own for the Crimson Tide towards the end of the year. I would love that pick for the New Orleans Saints. Pick 71, the third-round pick, Marvin Mims, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Okay, I don't really have any strong takes on that. I mean, sure. I think I just don't. Again, that kind of plays into players, not needs. Because wide receiver for me for the Saints isn't that high of need. There's others there. Like, I think running back is a bigger need for the New Orleans Saints here. Again, then wide receiver. Mike Thomas is back on the prove it deal. You have Chris Olave. Callaway's out the door, fine. But I feel like your options there are good. Mims is not going to come in and be, I don't think he's going to come in and be what Olave was, what Michael Thomas has been in his past career. It's probably just another body there that gives you. I'm okay with him taking a wide receiver in this draft. I just think, man, as much as you need edge, if you have a best available edge player there earlier, like round 2, round 3, jump on it. For what it's worth, round 4 is where they're mocked edge in this draft. It's Carl Brooks from Bowling Green. So it's a position they greatly need. We talked about it at the end of last hour with when talking about Ali Gaye. So I'm here for it. Like this draft for me cannot come and go without the Saints taking an edge player. Carl Brooks would fill that need. Riley Moss is their first 5th-round pick in this mock, a cornerback from Iowa. Not a huge Riley Moss guy. Not going to tell you I've ever, been great. What I can say is Iowa had an awesome defense this year. I love the Saints' numbers at cornerback, though. Like, that's a position I could be good with them passing on in this draft. Like, you have Adebo. You have Marshawn Lattimore. You're real good there. Alontae Taylor. You like your numbers there, I think, if you're the New Orleans Saints. You were able – you saw that last year, right? Adebo goes down. Alontae Taylor steps in as a rookie and is really, really good. You didn't really miss that much of a beat. So that'll be interesting there. The next 2 picks are the position I would love to see them get aggressive with in the draft, and it's linebacker, outside of defensive line, linebacker, because I don't necessarily want to say miss, but outside of DeMario Davis and outside of Pete Werner, it has not been great at linebacker for the New Orleans Saints, right? Zach Bond, you think, okay, can he be the guy? Well, he's been a lot of special teams for him. It just has not been huge. You need depth there at linebacker. Caden Ellis, out the door, right? He went in free agency to the Atlanta Falcons. You need more there. Shaka Hayward is a linebacker from Duke with the second fifth round pick, number 165, and then their first 7th round pick at 227, D. Winters, linebacker from TCU. So they have him here at CBS Sports going back-to-back linebackers there with pick 165 and 227. That shows you, again, outside of D-line, for me, linebacker, huge position of need for the New Orleans Saints in the NFL draft. And then with their final pick 257, 2 picks away from mystery relevant, CBS Sports selects Stetson Bennett, quarterback, Georgia, for the New Orleans Saints. I'd be pretty bummed. Not because it's Stetson Bennett, but because I don't have high hopes. I don't have high hopes for him in the NFL, for one, but it just feels very much like what the Saints have done at quarterback lately. And I think this is the year to do something else, to actually draft somebody who can potentially be the next guy. Derek Carr is going to be here for 2 years, right? At least 2 years. You know that it could be more. Jameis is your backup, fine, whatever. Jameis probably ain't going to be here next year. Not many thought Jameis would be here this year. But provided he plays in a backup role because of an injury to Derek Carr, which I don't really necessarily think that's what you're looking for, right? If you're the New Orleans Saints, that'd be kind of part of the worst-case scenario, regardless of how you feel about Derek Carr. You brought him in to be your starter. He's a proven starter in the NFL. You want that guy in the game. Jameis is going to have a lot of opportunity, and he's going to be able to pick his destination again next year. I would love to see you get somebody in the building quarterback-wise, especially in this. I mean, everybody's talking about Hendon Hooker and whatnot, and fine, whatever. There's a good bit of quarterbacks in this draft. For what it's worth, in this mock draft, outside of round 1, just to prove the depth at quarterback here, 13 went in this mock draft by Ryan Wilson at CBS Sports. Trying to find the number here for you. That went after the first round. 13 quarterbacks went in all in his draft. And then from the first round on, it was 10. That's a lot of depth at the quarterback. I'm sorry, 9. I forgot about Will Levis right there at the end of the first round in this mock draft. So with that much depth at the quarterback position, this is a year where you could potentially find somebody in round 3, 4 who could end up being part of the future of your franchise. I would like to see them take advantage of that this year and not just do what they have done, drafting a Stetson Bennett or at the end of the draft where it's not, or Ian Book, right? I mean, Ian Book, you took a flyer on him in round 4. Okay, that's not, it's a much different draft year, obviously, there. But that feels like if the Saints were to take Stetson Bennett at 257 in the 7th round with their final pick, that would feel very similar to all those other years where it's just like, okay, take a flyer on a guy, bring him in for camp, see what happens. When you have an opportunity to actually find somebody potentially who can impact your franchise in this draft, and maybe you don't, that's fine too. I don't like the optics of that. Quick note on some of the LSU guys here in this mock. We told you about B.J. Ojulari, 33rd overall to the Houston Texans. You had to go all the way to pick number 92 for the next LSU player off the board. And it was Jaquelin Roy to the Bengals, which would be great, right? Continue that LSU to Cincinnati pipeline, getting back up there. Play with Joey B, Jamar Chase, all those guys. That'd be great. I think Jaquelin Roy is going to be one of the more interesting prospects to come out of LSU because he really had a nice junior year and has kind of shot up some draft boards, it feels like, with the workouts that he put in. Scrolling through here for more LSU guys. Trey Palmer, not an LSU guy, kind of though. 4th round there to the Steelers. The shocking one for everybody, right, obviously, is Kayshon Boutte, who is the last LSU player off the board in this mock, and it comes in the 6th round. And it just, the workouts did not go as planned, and he's going to really have to prove it. I mean, he's going to really, really, really have to prove it, is Kayshon Boutte. Ali Gaye, 200th overall to the Chargers, 6th round. And this one that kind of speaks to what we talked about at the end of last hour. That is what I think is just a tremendous value pick for somebody late in this draft. Anthony Bradford went off the board as well, and I can't find him. I should have made a note of that. That's my fault, gang. I did not. But he went off the board, I believe it was round 4. Yes, round 4 to the Jaguars, 127. So that'd be great, man, because a lot of people were taken aback a little bit, I think, when he came out for LSU, and now you see him mocked in the 4th round, a day 3 pick there. But that's early, day 3. So that'd be awesome if that's the case. And then Jarek Bernard-Converse actually was a few picks before him, 123. You talk about somebody who shot up boards because of workouts, combine, pro day, things of that nature. He's been a big mover. He put up some awesome numbers, especially at LSU's pro day. That was always real surprising to me early. He wasn't getting much run. I mean, sat there, 4-year starter at Oklahoma State, comes to LSU, was awesome, honestly, at LSU, was your shutdown corner opposite Mekhi Garner. So that was surprising that he wasn't getting as much love, but he definitely has after the workouts. Jarek Bernard-Converse has made himself some money. Pro day. Wasn't even invited to the combine. Made himself some money at LSU's pro day, where you're seeing him be an early day 3 pick as well, according to this. I think biggest surprise, though, of guy not included in this is Jaray Jenkins. And I think you've heard a lot of us say that. Jaray Jenkins is going to get an opportunity if he's not drafted. That's going to happen because special teams, if for no other reason, special teams. You hear it all the time, over and over again. It's how you stick around in the NFL, how you can make a great career for yourself in the NFL, special teams. You think of J.T. Gray with the New Orleans Saints. Think of Matthew Slater with the New England Patriots, right? There's so many guys that have done it. Jaray Jenkins could absolutely do that. But, man, a big body, possession receiver, comes up with clutch catches you saw throughout his time at LSU. He's a great target in the red zone, as you saw throughout your time at LSU. I expect him, if he's not drafted, which I think somebody will take a shot at him in the draft, but if not, he's definitely going to make a roster as an undrafted free agent. So I actually expect a really nice career for him, special teams and red zone targets like that for Jaray Jenkins. There you go. 7-round mock draft. Kick off hour number 2 here of After Further Review. When we come back, keep the NFL talk going. Jalen Hurts got the bag today from the Philadelphia Eagles in a 5-year extension. We'll talk about that and how it resets the market, especially with 3 quarterbacks looming free agency here this offseason. We'll see how it goes. One of them is Joe Burrow. We'll talk about that next here on After Further Review.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's. Y'all, we are moving into springtime, and springtime at Rouse's means crawfish time. Live or boiled, get by Rouse's. Any of the locations. You can go to rouses.com to get more information. That's rouses.com. Or just walk into any of the Rouse's locations. They're boiling crawfish every single day. And y'all, they have their own boiling rooms at Rouse's. So it's not like these are outsourced. They're boiled right there on site daily at all the Rouse's locations. When you walk in, go into any Rouse's, go to the left. Go to the seafood department. You'll see the hot and boiled kiosks. They'll have the boiled crawfish already bagged, priced. Grab it and go. It's at Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We always say Rouse's, this feels like home. For party trays, dinner tonight, or all your groceries, they got you at Rouse's. So go to rouses.com or find the Rouse's nearest you. Rouse's, this feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded. Because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Otter.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Two great locations, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. I tell you every day about hormone replacement therapy. But remember, they also have medical-grade supplements. So, about a year ago when I went for my blood labs, we noticed my cholesterol was elevated a little bit. Well, I didn't need to be on cholesterol medicine. It was just one of those things where at 40 years old, they said, hey, we need to start taking a look at that. Look, why don't we try a supplement? So we tried Coritin. So I started taking Coritin as part of my daily regimen, and that, a little bit of weight loss, and my cholesterol has come back to normal, healthy levels. So things like that, catching things early and safely supplementing you to get you to healthy levels is all about maintaining a healthy body, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy body composition as well. It's at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com.
Back here after further review, Musso filling in for Scone. Going to get to some NFL quarterback market here momentarily. I did mention a couple Pelicans offseason notes. Potentially a staff change. Willie Green might have to be replacing one of his top assistants. We also now know the NBA draft lottery order, and the Pelicans are in it. What are their chances? Will the ping pong balls fall their way? Likely not, but we'll tell you the order a little bit in the next segment as well. Okay, so Jalen Hurts making the big news today in the NFL. Got the bag from the Philadelphia Eagles and deserved it too, by the way. I mean, if not for the pesky injury there at the end of the season, he's going to win the NFL MVP. Was one turnover away from winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles last year. He was awesome. 5-year extension for Jalen Hurts, $255 million in total, $179.3 million of that guaranteed, $51 million per year, making him the highest paid player in the NFL's history. In fact, all of those figures rank top 3 in the NFL right now. The $255 million total contract amount, third. Obviously, the $51 million a year, top. The guaranteed money, also third. It's a good day to be Jalen Hurts. It's a really, really, really good day to be Jalen Hurts. And it's a really good day to be the other three quarterbacks who are looking for a long-term deal this offseason. Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and, of course, Joey B. It's interesting when you look at Lamar Jackson because what Lamar is asking for isn't even what Jalen Hurts got. Lamar wants in the neighborhood of $200 million. That'd be $55 million less. He just wants the majority of it guaranteed. So he wants similar money guaranteed to what you saw from Jalen Hurts. Like if they were to offer Lamar, if somebody, the Ravens, whoever, were to offer Lamar Jackson $200 million with the guaranteed money of $179.3 million, he'd probably sign the deal. That's in the neighborhood of the contract he wants. Doesn't want the amount of in the length of years same. So maybe it doesn't change as much for him, but he can point to that and say, Jalen Hurts had a great year. I'm Lamar Jackson. I've had an MVP season. Like it's baffling to me. The thing with Lamar has got to be the agent. The fact that he doesn't have an agent, he functions as his own, that has to be what's holding this back. It's just been a pretty ugly situation, really, in all, with Lamar Jackson. Justin Herbert's interesting. I'm going to get to Joe Burrow here momentarily. Justin Herbert's interesting because he has kind of made it known, at least it's been reported, that he is looking for that $50 million annual deal, right? He's looking to be put in that class with Jalen Hurts, with Aaron Rodgers. Those are the two guys who make that much money per year. Russell Wilson's just below it at $48.5 million, which is still just mind-boggling considering the season you saw. Herbert has some leg to stand on with that. I mean, he's first player in NFL history to open 3 straight 4,000-yard passing seasons. Plays in Los Angeles. Big market there. There's a lot there. It's just the team success has not been there like it necessarily has been for Joe Burrow, even for Lamar Jackson. It hasn't been there for Justin Herbert. But we'll see. We will absolutely see. And for what it's worth, his average annual salary per Spotrac is $46.6 million. So it's close to that range, but maybe not quite in the $50 million range that he wants. Okay, then there's Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow could absolutely command $50 million. 100%. Joe Burrow could easily make a case to surpass Jalen Hurts. Their trek is not that dissimilar. They've both been to a Super Bowl and lost. Neither of them have an MVP. Again, the caveat that Jalen Hurts would have had the injury not happened. Joe Burrow, his 5 playoff wins since coming into the league, that's the most in that time frame of any other quarterback. You look at his success against his peers who he'd be bumping, around there. If he could get to a $260 million contract, that'd put him only behind Patrick Mahomes. It'd put him ahead of Josh Allen. But you look at the head-to-head success he's had against both of those guys. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, you could absolutely make that argument. The interesting thing with Joe Burrow is if he wants, and then actually, wait, one more thing. His average annual projection, according to Spotrac, is $48.1 million. So right there below. It's easy to see him get to 50. The question is, does he want to? Does Joe Burrow value the money, or does Joe value the team's success winning a ring? Because if the Bengals give him $50 million, and then you have to re-sign Jamar Chase as well, T. Higgins is out the door. And having that combo of Higgins and Chase has worked extremely well. So if Joe takes a smaller deal to make it team friendly, I don't think that really surprise anybody. He's going to get hit. Like, Joe's going to get paid. You have to. But is he in that $50 million range? I kind of say probably not, because of the want for team success from Joe Burrow and the want to kind of keep the core together. And look, let's be honest, paying your quarterback, paying your wide receiver, that's not always been the best path to success in the NFL, having that much money dumped in right there. Because it shrinks your assets where you could go defensively or offensively here, keeping a tandem like that together. So it'll be very interesting. I think what's also been very interesting is the Bengals have been very very coy in a sense with Joe Burrow's contract dealings. Like, they had to have obviously talked about this, but at the owners' meetings, they just were not forthcoming with any of it. Like, okay, yeah, it's a priority, but it's, we still have a little bit of time. But hey, today, you got put back in your right back in the full view of your vision if you're the Cincinnati Bengals after Jalen Hurts reset the market again. So we'll see how it goes. Herbert, Burrow, and of course Lamar Jackson. It's a good day to be them today. Not as good as Jalen Hurts yet, but knowing what they could be getting down the pike here in a couple months, still a pretty good day to be those two. So Jalen Hurts getting paid, Joe Burrow not far behind. Grab a break, come back on the other side, touch on a few storylines here in the Pels offseason, as it's underway earlier than any of us wanted it to be, but it's here. So not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but definitely a few things worth noting as the Pels look forward to October coming up here in the start of year 3 under Willie Green. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. What more could you possibly want? How about sandwiches? Well, they've got those. What about salads? Pluckers actually has really underrated salads. Giant, gorgeous, fresh salads. You can actually eat healthy at Pluckers. Or you could just binge. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings tossed in your favorite sauce. You want to create your own menu item? Do it. They encourage the creativity. Great sides as well, like the cheese fries, the El Guapo dip, maybe the homemade blue cheese potato chips, holy macaroni, fried pickles. They got it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The best place to watch the game, which game? Any game, is at Pluckers, because you can eat wings, drink beer, and watch sports on TV. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Otter Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Oshner. Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Tractionsports.com. Next week, y'all. Next week is Easter. All the kiddos are out of school for Easter next week on spring break. If you're going to work and your kids aren't going to school and you need something to do with them, how about have them get better? Bigger, faster, stronger, skills training as well. They got the Easter baseball camp and the Easter speed camp. So if you got a young athlete ages 10 and up, the Easter speed camp is what you're looking for. If you got a baseball player age 5 to 10, the Traction baseball camp. You got full and half day options. Look, you're going to be training with your son or daughter will be training with the experts at Traction that train all the pro athletes and collegiate athletes that come through there. If you want to improve baseball skill or strength, speed, performance, Traction can do it next week. Most importantly, of course, great place for your kiddos to go to get better while they're off of school and while you're at work. Easter camps are next week. It's not too late. Space is limited. It's not too late to sign up your son or daughter if you want to get them in these Traction camps for next week. Just go to tractionsports.com. Tractionsports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
Oops. My fault. Obviously, those camps are not next week. But you should still go to Traction because they do great work training your kids and you and anybody. Even Matt, you should go to Traction. But again, yeah, those camps. Again, my bad. Should have taken care of that. Okay, Pels off season. We're going to move on. Pels off season. Draft lottery. Let's start there. So we know the 14. Pels are in it. They're number 14. They're not going to win the draft lottery. Well, I don't want to say they're not going to because technically there is a chance, right? It's the old Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling me there's a chance. To be exact, it's a 0.5% chance that the Pels get the number 1 overall pick. Most likely, they're going to stay at 14. They'll be able to get a nice player there. Look, the season did not end the way any of us thought it would, especially after the way it began. I don't think many thought you'd be in the draft lottery this year. Really, if you were looking at the New Orleans Pelicans back, really January 2nd, when you were a game out of first place in the Western Conference. We all know what happened. Of course, Zion injury, things of that nature. You're in the lottery. That's, I guess, if you want to put some good vibes around the Pelicans season and now in their off season, you look at that and say, yeah, you were in the play-in again. That stinks. But you did have a winning record this time around, and you took some steps forward, and you're still going to get a lottery pick out of it. That is good, yes, but man, it is a story that we have seen a lot with the Pelicans, and I understand most are sick of seeing that. You want to see them take a bigger step forward. Hopefully that can happen next year. So Pels in the lottery, they're the 14th team, lowest chance to get the number 1 pick, 0.5%, but they'll have a ping pong ball in the tumbler, will the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, another interesting thing to look at for the Pels here this offseason is staff changes. And I think many thought that maybe going potentially forward. As a matter of fact, Willie Green and David Griffin, they were both asked at the end of season media availability on Friday if they were staff changes projected. And something that was thrown in there was also medical. It was coaching or medical. They both kind of, we don't know yet. We have to sit down, talk with each other, blah, blah, blah. The answer you would expect 2 days after the season ended, right? It's what you would think. But it is worth talking about now because Shams Charania from The Athletic tweeted out earlier today that the Detroit Pistons have requested and been granted permission by the New Orleans Pelicans to interview assistant Jaron Collins for their open head coaching job. So Jaron Collins is the top assistant on Willie Green's staff. He is his lead assistant. He is a guy thought of who's taken a very similar route to a head coaching job that Willie Green did. Collins followed once Green got the job. Collins was hired away immediately. He left Golden State, where he was part of 3 championship teams. Obviously, they had worked with each other previously there under Steve Kerr. But the reason he left Golden State to come to New Orleans was to increase his odds at a head coach, to take a higher-ranking assistant job in hopes of becoming a head coach. He also, for what it's worth, was the head coach this past summer league for the New Orleans Pelicans. So they have kind of groomed him for that, and now the Pistons have requested and been granted opportunity to interview him for their vacant head coaching job. If you keep him, it's great. It's already you want to keep your top assistant, obviously, but this seems like an inevitability at some point, much like it did with Willie Green when he was in Phoenix, that at some point he's going to be a head coach in the NBA. It might be this year. It might not be. We'll see, but that's something to keep an eye on. And while they were asked about potential staff changes, kind of deflected a little bit on it. Now you have one right in the forefront of your vision where you could be looking to replace your top assistant if you're Willie Green. We'll keep you updated, obviously, on how that goes. But Jaron Collins will interview for the vacant Detroit Pistons job. All right. Couple more things, Pels offseason-wise. And then we'll take a break, close out the hour with Tigers and the Pros. You heard me mention there that David Griffin and Willie Green and folks all met with the media to close out the season. And David Griffin had some really interesting comments when it comes to Zion Williamson. And that took up a lot of his press conference, as you might expect, because that is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest storyline for the New Orleans Pelicans this offseason. We'll see, draft is always fun. We'll see what happens with staff and whatnot. But Zion and his health and keeping him on the floor for a full season is paramount. David Griffin, though, did shed some light because if you remember, Friday was a couple days removed from the video of Zion dunking pregame, all of that. I'm physically ready to go. I just have to feel like Zion, everything. And it sent everybody into frenzy, I guess is maybe a good word for it. People were upset. I was upset. You heard I'm physically ready. I just have to feel like Zion, and you see him doing that, and you have a right to be upset. David Griffin shed a little bit of light on that and said, it really wasn't just as simple as feeling like Zion.
I think there's been a lot put on him that's not fair. Some of it his own doing, quite frankly. He came up here the other day and told you all physically I'm fine, and nobody followed up on what that means. Well, physically I'm fine means I'm not currently injured. He wasn't physically cleared to play basketball. He was playing one-on-none. He went up and windmill dunked pregame. Well, that's not the skill set that makes you capable of playing skilled 5-on-5 basketball. He was never cleared to play 5-on-5 basketball. So for people to now say, oh, he chose not to play basketball, that's nonsense. That's not factual. But that's a way more interesting story than the kid wasn't cleared to play basketball.
So the follow-up question to that I loved. And it was basically, why can't you just say that? Why is there always miscommunication from the organization? Why can't it just be he's not cleared yet? And this is what David Griffin had to say about that.
I did. I spoke before he did, and I said what was going on and said exactly what was going on. And he makes the one misstatement about physically I'm fine. Well, the reality is, like, what's the thing? So had I been here, I would have clarified it immediately. But what's the thing? So the thing is, when you're going through a rehab process and a player does not report, I'm very comfortable and confident in this movement, you don't go to the next movement. That's not because he's choosing not to play basketball. That's because a rehab protocol requires that a player is comfortable with the movement you're doing. And I understand your question, and I'm not saying that you should have possibly known that. You couldn't have possibly known that. So the miscommunication is very largely our fault. But I also think there's a component of this where if we don't, and I'm not saying you specifically do this, but if we don't always look for the most sinister outcome, there's usually not one.
So here's the thing. This is the Pelicans' fault, and this is also Zion Williamson's fault. But the miscommunication has to stop. The Pelicans have got to, in my opinion, the New Orleans Pelicans have got to be better at controlling the narrative when it comes to something like this, because it's maddening. It's absolutely maddening. All you ever heard was, oh, he's 2 more weeks and we'll reevaluate. He's not cleared to play is different than he's on track, we'll reevaluate in 2 weeks. That leaves so much more open to interpretation when you can control the narrative better that way. Now, it's on Zion Williamson too for saying that. I'm physically ready. I just have to feel like Zion. As far as I'm good. I just have to feel like Zion. But at the same time, you hear David Griffin say something right there where it's, if I would have been here, I would have clarified it immediately. So the miscommunication is largely our fault. Well, yes, it is. But why does it still exist? It'd be different if this hadn't happened now 3 other times with Zion, where he's been out and you've wondered for months if he was ever going to come back. It's happened every year, it feels like. You should be better by now at controlling the narrative. And I understand, again, I'm not trying to absolve Zion of everything. But man, you know what he's going to be asked when you put a microphone in his face. How is he not prepared better to answer these questions? In my opinion, they are awful at controlling the narrative and have to get better at that. So stuff like that doesn't happen, to where there's not outrage when he's doing that. If they would have said he's not cleared to play, if David Griffin would have given you the answer that he gave you right there, he's never been cleared to play, there's probably more out there. There's outrage when you see him windmill dunking the basketball, but it's not nearly, at least in my opinion, not nearly to the scale that it was with him saying, I'm physically I'm fine. There's a lot of difference between physically I'm fine and him not being cleared to play. And I believe, again, in my opinion, they can do a much better job at controlling the narrative, and I hope they do going forward. Everyone has fault in that. Zion for saying that, but also the Pelicans for not getting out in front of it more. In my opinion, you can agree, you can disagree, whatever. I think all of that can be handled better. And the fact that this is the 3rd time we're going through this and it's still not handled better is maddening when you look at this franchise. Hopefully, from here on out, it is. Hopefully, next year, we don't have to go through this crap because Zion Williamson's healthy for 82 games. He's not going to play all 82 games because of load management, but he's healthy for an 82-game season, and the Pelicans are a top 3, maybe the top seed in the Western Conference. We'll see how that goes. You got a long way to go there, but there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that franchise this offseason from a medical standpoint, from a Zion standpoint, and I'd like to see them right now, starting with that press conference on Friday, control the narrative around all of it a little bit better. We'll grab a break, come back to the other side, wrap up hour number 2 with Tigers and the Pros.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring, online at nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie and, of course, Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline in Prairieville, you pass the Walmart, look to the right. You can't miss it. It's New Orleans Flooring. Go to nolaflooring.com, nolaflooring.com. The thing that really sets them apart, like they've got amazing people. You can go see Terrell. You can go see Big Sean. Great people there. They got everyday low prices. You can get the free in-home estimate. They got the mobile showroom. You can get inspired there on the website. It's a great resource to go to. Financing is available. But what sets them apart more than anything is they cut out the middleman. Because they have more than 1 million square foot of product in stock, they cut out the middleman and they can give you the best price. I mean, you're talking about saving 40, 50, 60% on flooring. Go where the pros go. Go to New Orleans Flooring. That's nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, and online at nolaflooring.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We're going to get to some of what Jay Johnson had to say when he met with the media today to open up the next hour. Right now, we'll close hour number 2 with Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers and the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
And we'll start with Major League Baseball. We'll start with Aaron Nola getting on the board finally this season. His first win of the year through 6 innings in the Phillies' victory over the Reds yesterday. 5 hits given up by Nola, 3 runs, just 2 earned. He struck out 4, 62 strikes of his 98 out of his 98 pitches there. Again, finally on the board. You know what's been odd is the Phillies have actually scored a lot of runs for Aaron Nola this year, and he just hasn't pitched very well. But hopefully he's back on the right track there. He's going to go into free agency, so needs a good year, man. Money year here for Nola. Finally getting on the right track yesterday. 6 innings and the dub. He also really had a lot of success against Jake Fraley, and that's not something that a lot of people can say to this point in the Major League Baseball season. Fraley had been on an absolute tear through the first couple of weeks. Did wear the collar yesterday, going 0 for 4, struck out once as well. The averages dipped to 282 for Fraley. DJ LeMahieu yesterday, big day for the New York Yankees. His second home run of the season, that came in the 6th inning. It was part of a 2-hit day for LeMahieu, 2 RBI as well. Did punch out once. Moved him down in the lineup, did the Yankees. More towards the middle, but DJ's hitting 283 so far on the season. Excuse me. Austin Nola, 1 for 3 yesterday for the Padres. Did punch out. San Diego lost 1-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers. And finally, we'll wrap it up with Alex Bregman and the Houston Astros. So Bregman, speaking of slow starts to the season, Bregman is one of those guys, got off to a slow start, started to turn it on a little bit, did wear the collar yesterday, 0 for 3, did drive in a run and walk. So he was on base, did have an RBI in the game, but no hits for Bregman. The Astros lost 9-1. That is Tigers in the Pros. It's brought to you, as always, by Lee Michaels at Fine Jewelry. Anniversary, birthday, gift in the little red box. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. It's the place to go. Engagement rings. If you're looking to pop the question, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, they're a proud sponsor. Bring you Musso at the box every single day. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Kick off the final hour. Let you hear from Jay Johnson as he updated some injuries, previewed the week ahead for the Tigers.
AFR.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A woman convicted for a killing that happened 4 decades ago tried to get her plea she signed tossed out, claiming her sentence was illegal. But rolling the dice came with a big risk, and it was one that she wasn't willing to take. She withdrew her request, and tonight a judge told her this can never come up again. An update to a cold case murder that led to a conviction. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back. Join us on Saturday, April 22nd at the Otter Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown presented by Otter. Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, let's say ah. Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Eagles' top offseason priority, a long-term deal for quarterback Jalen Hurts, is done. The team and Hurts agreed on a 5-year, $255 million extension, $179 million guaranteed. He becomes the highest-paid player in the history of the NFL in terms of average annual value. The Eagles also gave him the first no-trade clause in franchise history. It's now on to other matters for Philly, notes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
Now it's just getting on with the business of turning their attention to the draft, continuing to build out this roster, find some defensive help, make sure that they're shored up at running back, and trying to make another run at it. They brought back some of their veterans, guys like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox wanted to come back, Brandon Graham wanted to come back. They feel like they're right there on the cusp. They were just a few plays away from winning the Super Bowl.
Opening night Stanley Cup playoffs, Bruins captain Patrice Bergeron, game time decision against the Panthers with an upper body injury, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN TV. MRI on the injured back of Bucs star Giannis Antetokounmpo came back clean. He'll continue getting treatment. The team will continue to monitor him. Game 2 of the first-round NBA playoff series against the Heat is Wednesday night.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Kicking off hour number 3 after further review, Monday show presented by Relief Windows. Musso sitting in for Scone. Scone's back in the chair tomorrow throughout the rest of the week as well. He'll get caught up on everything that he missed while he was out today. But until then, you got me for one more hour. We can talk some LSU baseball here in this hour. Otter locks still to come as well. Jimmy back from the college tour with EJ. So Jimmy will join us to close out the show for Otter locks as well. Get Otter's take on some Major League Baseball tonight. A couple NBA games tonight as well. So that'll wrap the show with Otter locks. But I do want to talk some more LSU baseball here. Jay Johnson met with the media earlier today around 12:30, and Jay, of course, will have his radio show tonight as well, 6 p.m. at TJ Ribs. You can hear it on the LSU Sports Radio Network, which here in Baton Rouge is our sister station, Eagle 98.1. So one of the main things everybody's going to want to know is obviously the update on injuries, and there are plenty of injuries right now for LSU. Jay, not the most forthcoming when it comes to updating injuries. We know that by now here, more than halfway through year 2. And unfortunately, he's had to deal with a lot of different injuries in the year and a half that he's been here. I think that's one thing he would absolutely like to change. But he was asked about just about all of them. When it comes to Garrett Edwards and Chase Shores, there is no update, which I think we can all kind of read between the lines there at this point. There's not going to be another update. So make of that what you will. I'll tell you personally, just in my opinion, I'm not going to speculate on what's wrong with them per se, but I'm not expecting to see them again this year. Hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. Brady Neal's dealing with a little nagging thing. There was no update on him, but over the weekend, Jay mentioned it and said it's not anything long-term. So he will be back eventually. Excuse me. The good thing is Alex Milazzo's been really good and was really good this week for you, both behind the plate and at the plate. So, that's not a major pressing issue right there in my mind. Paxton Kling and his hamstring, going to need another week, Jay said. Then the two other ones. The two pretty big ones. Nate Ackenhausen. Ackenhausen threw from the mound on last week. I think it was on Wednesday. And they wanted to see kind of how he moved, whatnot, get off the mound, things like that against Kentucky. And ultimately, he didn't pitch in the series. And it's fine. That's not the series you bring him back. With a hamstring, that's not the series you bring him back, where he's going to have to get off the mound, where he's going to have to field his position, move around, where the opponent can intentionally put pressure on him in that way to see if he can do it. You run a very high risk of re-injury to that hamstring. That's fine. Jay did say he hopes that he's available this weekend, that they can have Ackenhausen back this weekend. That would be massive. But what he also pointed out in that was they want to make sure they take time. Yes, it's not an arm injury, but they want to make sure they take time and he's healthy enough to go out there to where he doesn't try to overcompensate too much maybe with the hamstring and end up with an arm injury. So you take your time with it. Look, soft tissue, that's nothing to play. Like, that's just nothing to play with. A hamstring can nag you and nag you and nag you. You have to make sure that's fully ready to go. You already saw it once, right? You saw it against Tennessee. They put him out there after he had been dealing with it. He didn't pitch against Arkansas because of it. They put him out there against Tennessee, and it flared up on him, and he had to leave the game, and he left holding the back of his leg. So you want to make sure he's fully 100% ready to go, but Jay did say he hopes to have Ackenhausen this weekend. We'll see how that goes throughout the rest of the week. He's going to throw more this week and things of that nature. Javen Dugas. This is the one where you got pretty much the most broad, the big, or the best update, the most specific update from Jay was on Dugas, where he said they dodged the bullet. There's nothing structurally wrong with the shoulder. And they hope to have him back this weekend. I know Gavin's going to take ground balls today, per Jay Johnson, see how comfortable he is there, and they hope to have him back this weekend as well, and they need him back. Gavin has been a great leader for you. He's come up in clutch situation after clutch situation this season, and while offensively you scored 10 and then 10 and 7 runs, you scored 17 runs total in the games that he did not play this weekend. There were spots where you were like, okay, man, you really miss Javen Dugas there. While Napolt and Merrifield played a great defensive second base, they're just not the offensive weapon that Javen Dugas is. Now, it does show off the depth that this lineup has, obviously, where you don't have Dugas in there and you're still able to put up 17 combined runs in those two games that you don't have him. But I look at a spot in the game on Saturday where it's the bottom of the fourth inning. You have the bases loaded and one out. It's LSU's first chance, really, in that game on Saturday to put distance between themselves and Kentucky, and Jack Merrifield hits into a double play. It's just, and it's not to say that Javen Dugas wouldn't have done that, and Dugas wouldn't have even been in that spot in the lineup, right? That was the 8-hole, Dugas. But you get the point. Like, it's just, if he's in there, it changes the lineup construction. That allows you to have Jordan Thompson in that 8-hole, which is just such an advantage. It changes a lot. And LSU they were cruising really, really well with that lineup that they were sending out there with Dugas, Morgan, Cruz, White, Beloso, Jones, Joe Bear, Thompson, and Milazzo. They were real, or Neal, whoever in the 9-hole in the catcher spot. They were really cruising. So to get back to that would be great. And look, he's been great defensively as well. That's the interesting part, though, is the defense. Because you remember Tommy White with his shoulder, he got back in the lineup at DH after 4 games, but it took him a lot longer to make the throw. Now, obviously, second base is a much shorter throw than third. So that factors into it. You can compare this a little bit maybe more to Cade Doty last year at the end of the season. And these injuries, they were very similar in a lot of ways. One, late in the game, up big in both situations, but Cade Doty sat out the SEC tournament, but was back at second base for the Hattiesburg Regional. So it didn't take him long to come back from a throwing perspective. Now, Doty had obviously had a history of the shoulder injury. Dugas not necessarily hasn't. So that's going to be the big thing to watch, because you talk about change up the lineup. If he's not able to play second base, but he's able to hit, then you are either leaving out Jared Jones or Cade Beloso, and both of those guys have been awesome for you in the middle of your order. They've both been able to give you great at-bats and clutch at-bats. You just look at Saturday as your example again. Jones with the 2 solo home runs. Cade Beloso with the 2-out, 2-strike single to tie the game in the bottom of the 7th inning, tie it up at 6, and ultimately have you in the position you were in the 8th to get the go-ahead run across and win the game. You would be leaving one of those guys out. Neither of them can play second base, and you'd leave Morgan in left and have one of them play first, and then Dugas with DH. So him fielding ground balls and being able to make the throw to first base is going to be a huge, huge factor in when he's able to return. But he's feeling good by his accounts, by Jay's accounts. They dodged the bullet, and they expect him to be back. Or they hope to have him back this weekend in Oxford. So if you could get Dugas back, you could get Ackenhausen back for this weekend in Oxford, that's a big boost to your pitching staff and to your lineup if you're LSU. Then there's the curious case of Javen Coleman, who, man, when I looked down to the bullpen on Friday night and saw 49 firing bullets from the rubber of the bullpen mound, I was very surprised. Not in the sense that we weren't going to see Javen Coleman, right? We know we are. Jay has said that he expects him to pitch at some point this year. I thought it would probably be a little bit towards the end of the month. He still had 2 hurdles to clear, and then it goes down to 1. At the middle of last week, it was down to 1. But to see him warm up, and when I say warm up, I mean warm up. Like, he wasn't just lightly tossing. He was on the rubber throwing seeds to a bullpen catcher. And when you look at the game situations when he was warming up, too, that caught me off guard. Because I'll be honest, I always thought, okay, when Coleman makes his return, when he's come back to pitch, probably going to be in a midweek game first. Maybe you give him the start or whatever. That way he just has a clean inning. You can go out there, hey, do it, and you piece it together after that, after his 1 inning or whatnot. That would make an awful lot of sense. The guy hasn't pitched in over a year. It's been since February 22nd of last year. And they had him warming up hard twice this weekend in close games. I think that's a really good sign that he's obviously been progressing very, very well in the bullpens that he's thrown and facing the live hitters. If they were going to put him in potentially in a spot in a tied game or down 1 or whatnot against Kentucky. And those are the situations he was warming up for. I think you have Jay was a little coy with it today. They want to make sure he's ready. They're going to be strategic with the time they put him in based on game situation and recovery. But, I mean, if he's warming up twice against Kentucky, you got to infer that there's probably a good chance you see him at some point tomorrow night against ULL. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. It definitely wouldn't surprise me anymore if that's the case, given what you saw from him this weekend just warming up in the bullpen. So that's going to be a huge thing for me to watch tomorrow night is him facing off against, or do you potentially see him when LSU faces off against ULL? For what it's worth, before we hit break, a little bit on the Cajuns. They're coming in. They've got a pretty solid team. They're coming off a 3-game series loss to Troy, but they're hitting .282 as a club. So far, Julian Brock is leading them. They can run. They're fast. That was the thing Jay Johnson highlighted today. They're fast, but they don't steal a lot of bases. They've only attempted 27 steals on the season. For what it's worth, they were successful in 24 of them. So they've only been caught 3 times. That, I guess, speaks to their speed, but it doesn't seem like it's that big of a part of their style, at least not to the extent that it was with Kentucky or even Tulane. I mean, Tulane had like 39 bags on the year. So we'll see. Pretty good lineup, like I said, at 282. Pitching staff maybe leaves a little bit to be desired if you're the Cajuns, but they'll come in for the one and only meeting this year between LSU and ULL. It's tomorrow night at 6:30 on the box. We'll have plenty more on that game for you tomorrow here on After Further Review when Matt's back in the chair. So there you go. There's some injury updates. Seems positive on a couple of the fronts there with Coleman, with Dugas, with Ackenhausen. You have to wait a little bit longer for Neal, for Kling, for guys like that. But hopefully you do get some of those guys back, and the list next week when they have to ask Jay is not nearly as long. That's what we can all hope for. as they go forward through the second half of SEC play. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side with more. It's hour number 3 of After Further Review on a Monday. Musso in for Moscona. It's presented by Relief Windows. Stick around, more to come.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001. 752-0001. Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air because I love telling you about great companies that treat people right. That's River City's 1 hour air. They make you feel valued and they make you feel comfortable. When you schedule service with River City's 1 hour air, when technicians come into the house, you get a phone call, an email, and a text message alerting you the technician's on the way. You get a text message with a picture, a photo, name, and reviews of that technician who's coming to your house. They take the time to explain everything. They're very thorough. They have equipment on the truck because they're so big on continuing education. They have equipment on the truck other companies don't even own, never even heard of. River City's 1 hour air. Nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra. River City's 1 hour air. Got a problem with your home central AC? Call River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look.
Curb.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shaw Bills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shaw Bills. Let them give it the once-over. And you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shaw Bills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shaw Bills credit card only at Shaw Bills.
Join us Thursday, April 27th at 7 p.m. for the Rouse's ESPN Draft Party. Live from Don Juan Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Our team will break down all the picks, trades, and moves inside one of the biggest nights in sports. Come out to the Rouse's ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party Thursday, April 27th, 7 p.m. live from Don Juan Cigar Bar, or watch on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Back here after further review on a Monday, final hour of the show here. Just a few more segments to go. Musso filling in for Moscona. A couple college football topics to talk about here in this segment. So this is interesting. Last week, of course, the NCAA Division I Council on Thursday, they passed a handful of new rules. This one I like a lot, and it has to do with recruiting and official visits. So starting on July 1st this year, high school athletes will be able to take an unlimited number of official visits now. Of course, you were limited to 5, right? All the unofficials you want, 5 officials. Now it's both. You take unlimited official visits starting July 1st. What's the difference? Well, basically the school pays. That's the difference. It's not on the recruit on their own dime. The schools are allowed to pay for transportation, a 2-night stay, meals, quote, reasonable entertainment for an athlete and up to 2 of their family members. So you were limited to 5. Now it's unlimited. I like it for a couple of different reasons. Number one, obviously for the student athlete, for the high school student athlete, you don't have to. There's always so many other schools potentially that you want to take an official visit to that you just couldn't have because you only got 5. Now you can go to as many as you want on that. That's fantastic. 2, I'm really curious if it can level the playing field a little bit in recruiting. And I think it's real easy to look at this and go, well, you know, the Ohio States, the Georgias, the LSUs, the Alabamas, the USC, like all the schools, the A&M, all the Texas, all the schools with a lot of money can really lean in and take advantage of this and just wine and dine now as many different guys they want. And it looks on the surface maybe as, man, the rich can just get so much richer. But what about schools on the West Coast where it's harder to get guys in for an official visit? Does this change that for them? All right. Are you more likely to get those guys one weekend out of the year now when otherwise you wouldn't because you only had 5 slots? And, oh, well, you know, you just got guy from Southeast Louisiana, maybe not as keen to go take the visit out to UCLA or Oregon, Washington, whatever the school may be, because of time zone difference and things of that nature. Could that potentially change this? I think that's something interesting to watch. I'm curious what it does to the lower level schools, maybe some group of 5, the non-Power 5 programs. How does this help them more with the local talent and that one blue chip guy that you want? That's something they mentioned in this, right? Those they can get, you know, the 1 4-5-star guy, you know, on. You got to use an official visit for that. Now it does. I mean, now you have unlimited too. It works both ways, I think, well for both the players and the universities. So I think it is. I think it's interesting. I like it. If for no other reason than, man, it gives the student athlete a chance to go see more of schools that may be interested. You don't have to limit yourself. Like, oh man, I really wanted to go to insert SEC school here, but I might not be as serious about going there. I'll just leave it off my list. Now you don't have to. So that's good. I'm a big fan of that. The other college football topic I wanted to get to here in this segment as we switch gears a little bit has to deal with the season and coaches under pressure. So about a month ago, whenever I was filling in for Matt on one day, we went through a bunch of different topics, college football wise, in one segment. Like, which team has the most to prove, which coach is on the hottest seat, which player can have or which players are under the most pressure to follow up his year, things of that nature. This is kind of in that similar vein, but different because it's just dealing with the coaches. But there's a lot of teams on this that we talked about in that segment about a month ago. I think it's real easy to understand the coach on the hottest seat going into this year from a Power 5 perspective, or with the most to prove, I guess I should say, is Jimbo Fisher, right? We all know that. 39-21 in 5 seasons in College Station. He's behind Kevin Sumlin in that regard. Sumlin was 44-21 through 5 years. But for the contract you gave Jimbo, we all know what that is for him. So that one kind of goes without saying. One on here that I'm interested in already is Billy Napier. I just think Florida's not going to can Napier after 2 years, right? I mean, that's not going to happen. It wasn't good in year 1. But it's a conversation we had here a lot because of Billy Napier's candidacy or non-candidacy for the LSU job, right? That was the narrative. Oh, my God, it's Brian Kelly, Billy Napier. They're always going to be tied together because of this, whatever. But the conversation we had a lot here was Florida was a lot tougher of a rebuild than LSU was. Dan Mullen did not leave that place in good standing. He kind of left it in shambles. The recruiting was terrible. Sure, you had some weapons if you were Billy Napier, like an Anthony Richardson or something like that. But was anybody really expecting much more from Florida last year than 6-6? I mean, I guess when they go and beat Utah week 1, you maybe raise your expectation a little bit more. But 7-5, 6-6 always seemed very realistic for Florida because the rebuild was just so much tougher. And it's still tough. So I don't know, man. I look at Billy Napier being on this list of coaches with most to prove. And I just disagree. I think it's going to be a slower build for him there. You want to see them improve, obviously, from 6-6. Well, I don't, because I don't like the University of Florida. But you want, from a national perspective, if you're just looking at this totally objectively, you'd like to see them improve, maybe get to 7-5. Can they squeeze out an 8-4? But I mean, I'm not expecting some grand turnaround here in year 2 there. And I think, honestly, to expect that's a little unfair. The other one on this list that just, kind of head scratching for me as well is Mario Cristobal at Miami. And it's not head scratching because I don't think he has a lot to prove. It's just head scratching to me because I don't think he's very good. And I don't think he's ever going to really have a lot of success at Miami. I think Mario Cristobal is what he is. You saw that at Oregon. I mean, he can recruit. He can win a lot of games. He's going to lose one of the more important games in the season every year on the schedule. And that part's just going to go. And Miami is not, again, that's not some easy turnaround these days anymore. It's just the U is not the U when it comes to football anymore. Sark is on this list. I think that's easy. I think that's not an easy. I think that's an interesting one as well. I I guess if you want to see them take it a step further from the 8-5 they were last year, but Quinn Ewers has been really good. Apparently, if you believe everything on Twitter and from spring games, Arch Manning's terrible, which I don't think is the case. I think that was the kid's first taste of ever college football, but again, that's not me saying that; it's Twitter saying that. So, gotta love spring game overreaction. The one on here that I'm agree with the most, and I think is the most interesting, and this is why I brought up that segment from a month ago, because whenever I looked at coach with the most to prove, this is who I picked, and it was Ryan Day at Ohio State. And that sounds so strange, doesn't it? It sounds so strange because Ohio State under Ryan Day has been in the national championship college football playoff conversation every single year. And he has recruited very well. Yes, he inherited a lot when Urban Meyer left, but he has kept it going from a recruiting standpoint and from a wins standpoint. All of that is very, very true. What else is very true is right now he has been passed up by Michigan. And if you're at Ohio State, you cannot be passed up by Michigan, and they have been. Again, it sounds really strange to say, right? Because they were a missed field goal away from playing for the national championship last year. But they backdoored their way into the playoff. If Caleb Williams doesn't pull a hamstring and plays the rest of that game against Utah and USC wins the Pac-12 championship, USC's in the playoff, TCU's in the playoff, Georgia's in the playoff, Michigan's in the playoff, Ohio State is not. And it's because they lost to Michigan. And it's the way they've lost to Michigan the last 2 years. It hasn't been close. They've been bullied. Absolutely straight up bullied, out-physicaled, outclassed on the line of scrimmage. And it doesn't matter how many games you win, if you consistently lose that one at either school, they're going to do their best to find somebody who won't lose that one at either school. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see. Look, I expect Ohio State to run through just about the rest of their schedule. Yes, you're having to replace C.J. Stroud. I understand. You still have Marvin Williams on the outside. You still have plenty of weapons. Talent should not be a problem. Their schedule's not overly difficult. But when they have to go to Michigan this year, when they have to go to the Big House, can they get it done? If they don't this year, they might not be able to backdoor their way into the college football playoff. And if that's the case, that's going to turn the pressure up on Ryan Day even more. So I do think he has a lot to prove. I think Ohio State's fascinating this year solely because of how thoroughly they've been dominated the last 2 years by Michigan, while Michigan's en route to the college football playoff in each of those last 2 years as well. So follow that away. That will be very, very interesting. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Couple more segments to go. Otter Locks still to come. It's Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, two great locations. If you're downtown or in Southtown, our friends at the Watermark and the Renaissance can certainly help make your next event spectacular, whether it's a wedding or an intimate gathering downtown at the Watermark, Baton Rouge's premier luxury hotel, or if you're at the Renaissance for a board meeting. They have elegant, intimate board meetings for a dozen people, or meeting space for up to 500 people in their spacious ballroom. At the Renaissance, they like to say, we're in the business of saying yes. So if it's annual conferences, award banquets, nonprofit school fundraisers, if you're hosting a sports team, a formal cotillion etiquette classes, they do it all at the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet. It's the Renaissance Hotel. You can check them out online for reservations or to get more information. It's the Renaissance and the Watermark, downtown and Southtown. Check them out at the Renaissance Hotel.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get 3.99% financing on select 2023 models. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd
at the Otter Medical Complex at The Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown, presented by Oshner.
Saturday, April 22nd at lunchtime. Help us paddle it forward. For tickets and more information, go to clashofthecooks.com.
All right. Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside off the bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further... After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, vinyl siding, they do it all. And at Relief Windows, they will never take $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work. Seriously, no deposit, no down payment. They do not want $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work that they do. That's Relief Windows. And what a time of year. We are moving to the winter months, and this is the time of year when those leaky, drafty windows can become costly. Of course, lets the cold air in, the warm air from your heater out. Make your home more energy efficient. Lower your monthly energy bills. Increase your home's resale value with energy efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com.
Correct something I said earlier. You can get for just reading too fast. Cajuns have stolen a lot of bases, actually. 105 of them. 105 of them. Which makes a lot more sense when you realize the praise that Jay Johnson was heaping on the speed. It's what I get for doing things on the fly and reading through stats too fast. I mess things up. So 105 steals for the Cajuns. Also, shout out to Chase Mancuso for telling me, yeah, you might want to double check those stats a little bit there, Moose. They Cajuns have some wheels, so they'll bring their 105 stolen bases into the box tomorrow night and try to knock off the number one team in the country. Again, we'll have more on that game for you tomorrow. Thought I'd do a little bit of like Ask Musso here in this segment. Can be really whatever you want it to be, sports or not. Like right here, what city do you want to most visit? That's actually a great question. So we'll do that one and then do some of the sports ones. Does it have to be one that I haven't been? Let's do this. City that I've been to that I'd most like to go back to is either New York or San Diego. Two vastly different places. City that I have not been to in the United States that I most would want to go to, Boston, for a lot of different reasons. Love history. And obviously I'd like to go see a Red Sox game. City abroad, Rome. Or Rome or Athens. One of those two. Okay, more towards the sports ones now. Outside of that, get to auto locks here momentarily as well. Beck, do you have an answer to that? City you'd like to go visit most? Paul?
You got one, Paul? I'm thinking about it. It's kind of tough.
Mine are like sports related, kind of like you.
Yeah.
So we really want to go to Arizona. That's
That'd
Sam
be
and
good.
I. That's one of her top ones. And then I want to get somewhere north, like Boston or Philly or Pittsburgh, somewhere in that area.
Scottsdale would be pretty sick, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think U.S.-wise, I still really want to go to, like, the California coast. Pebble Beach, obviously, is like a golfer's dream.
Oh, of course, for sure.
I'd like to go there
For
one
sure.
day. And then probably overseas, Germany, I think.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Germany would be awesome. This one here, keeping with the, boy, they love cities here in the Bayou 40 YouTube chat. Paris or London? Give me London. Give me London.
I've heard French people don't really like Americans.
Heard they're very
much either.
rude.
Yeah, I've heard
Heard
that.
they're very rude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take London, man. Why not? Food stinks, but whatever. I'll go see Big Ben, go see the London Eye and all that, Parliament and all that good stuff. That's sure. Why not? That sounds great. Let's see. I know it's baseball season, but how is Mason Smith's knee looking? From all accounts, pretty good. I mean, they expect him to be ready to go, camp and whatnot. So he's been out there doing some non-contact stuff in the the non-contact jersey. Obviously not participating in any other drills, but so far on that front, no setbacks. He's good to go. Should be good to go come fall camp time and be out there week 1 when they face Florida State. And man, if once they get him into those contact drills during camp, if he is anything close to what he was last season, people maybe seem to have forgotten about Mason Smith a little bit. They're going to be reminded very, very fast when it comes time for that. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, he's looked great with what they've asked him to do. I think Garrett Edwards will be back this season. I don't. Hopefully I'll be proven wrong on that. But, I mean, we've gotten all the updates we're going to get on that. So I'm going to take that as kind of a little bit of maybe read between the lines a little bit there and say I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm very, very wrong on that. Favorite kind of taco? I like fish tacos a lot. Those are good. I enjoy that. Like get the shrimp taco as well is very good. I'll say that. Aside from just the regular meat and cheese. Favorite ballpark food? Okay, I'm lame when it comes to this. I'm a hot dog and a peanuts guy. Like give me a hot dog, peanuts, and a cold beer, and I'm good. All of that has to be done before first pitch. I very rarely leave my seat during a game. Very rarely.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, I go to the bathroom before I sit down. I get food before I sit down, or I'll wait till the end of the game to go to the bathroom. I very rarely leave seats. So a lot of times I don't even eat. But if I'm picking ballpark food, yeah, I'm going hot dog and peanuts and a cold beer. I know everybody loves nachos. Ballpark nachos it's not Wednesday, but ballpark nachos are overrated. Unless you get the legit ones that have like the loaded, like you get it like a major league park, those are awesome. But yeah, no. The Tiger nachos are not good. Or whatever they call them. Those aren't great. Those are not great. Ask Musso, Marvel or DC. Don't care. Just, whatever. I like Batman a lot, so I guess I'll just go DC. I mean, I'm not a Not a big comic book guy, not even really a big movie guy. I like the Marvel movies. There's just so many of them. Like, am I wrong in thinking this? It's overwhelming.
It's at this point, it's been going on for so long. I mean, I think the first Iron Man movie was the first one that came out in 2007 or something. It's been it's been almost 20. It'll be 20 years in a few years here now. So it's been just ridiculous. And at this point, I think a lot of people are just getting tired of just the same. It's a different characters and stuff, but it's kind of the same thing.
It is. I mean, it's just, and it's like, okay, man, if I actually wanted to start and try to watch all of these, it'd take you forever. There's too many of them now. Yeah. It's not that they're bad movies. They're very good movies. It's just overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, Beck, I think I've seen the first 2 Iron Mans. I haven't seen the third. I've seen the first 2 Captain Americas. I haven't seen the third. I've seen all Thor. I've seen all 3 of the Thors. I saw The Avengers, and that's it. Captain Marvel, Black Panther. That might be it.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Except I fell asleep during that, and I never went back and rewatched it. So that really doesn't count. Deadpool, great movie. That movie's hilarious.
Yep.
It's just overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
If you've never seen a Marvel movie and you're like, oh yeah, I want to try to catch up on this, you're gonna be busy for about a month or 2 probably.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Ask Musso, what are you allergic to? Pecans, walnuts, almonds. That's about it.
10 Run Rules.
10 Run Rules, yes. They're terrible. Can't stand them. They need to stop. And not just because I'm about to have to buy Cartwright dinner, but those I like my 9-inning games. Let's see. Favorite. Oh, I did that one already. Ask Musso, Ford, Dodge, or Chevy. Neither. None. All of them. Don't. I've had 2 Tundras and now a Tacoma, and I love them. I don't
Toyota for life, baby.
Yeah, man. I don't if I had to pick out of that, I'd probably pick Ford. Out of those 3. But yeah, man. Love my Tacoma. I would not trade it for anything right now. It's great. Okay. That's pretty much all of them there. I don't know. Yeah, the direction Marvel has gone has lost my interest. That's fine. Yeah, you got to watch 257 movies. Exactly. It's too much. It's too much. Like, this might really make T-Bob mad, but I feel like Star Wars is heading in that direction.
Well, yeah, they probably want to, at least, to try to copy off of Marvel's formula.
Yeah, why not? I mean, but it's just, it's just too much. I don't need all that in my life. Ask Musso, favorite beer, the next one. It's real easy. The next one. It's one of the one things in life I don't turn down is free beer. Because it's one of the greatest things ever. All right, grab a break, come back on the other side, wrap it up. Otter Locks, find out what we're betting on tonight. Otter will talk us through some Major League Baseball, a couple NBA playoff games tonight. That's next to close out a Monday edition of AFR. Jimmy Ott joins us next.
AFR.
Been a lot telling you about Clegg's Nursery any time of year, but especially during the springtime. They have got full greenhouses busting at the seams with tons of flowers, shipments arriving every single day to keep those greenhouses stacked, as so many of you are getting back into your gardens right now as spring is here. Then Saturday morning, was leaving the house early, walked outside, I heard lawnmowers and leaf blowers, and man, it was just, you could tell, it's just springtime. Everything is coming back to life. People are spending time in their yards. You got to see your neighbors again. So have the best looking yard on the whole block, and Clegg's can help make it happen. If you're not sure what to buy or what to plant, if you're not sure what product to use to bring your lawn back to life to get rid of some of those weeds, don't worry. Just ask any of the horticulturists at Clegg's Nursery. They have all the knowledge, know-how, and, of course, the best selection. It's at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Buy local, shop local for more than 60 years. Tell them Matt sent you in. The Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown is back.
Join us on Saturday, April 22nd.
At the Otter Medical Complex at the Grove. We've got cooking teams of pros and Joes serving up their best jambalaya and Cajun Creole dishes, all while helping raise dough for local families battling cancer. Bring the whole family for great food, live tunes, and good times. Clash of the Cooks Jambalaya Showdown, presented by Otter.
Saturday, April 22nd.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up a Monday edition of AFR the only way we know how, by finding out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Oddfather, how are we doing tonight?
What's up, Matthew? How you doing, buddy?
I'm
We're
doing
over here at the La Cook Hotel in the bar area, overlooking the pool. What a beautiful day, man! Here on the lakes, here on campus in Baton Rouge today. Wonderful, wonderful weather, and we got action, man. We got NBA regular season again. We've got the first 4 games in the NHL playoffs as well. So we got some Colucci picks.
Bring them on.
Colucci series bet. Islanders.
Okay.
Devils. And Vegas Golden Knights. So, New Jersey, New York Islanders, and in the Vegas Golden Knights, the series prices. All right, tonight in the NBA, it's a tough one in the first game. The Philly won and covered easily in the first game, laying 8.5. It's up to 10.5 now. New Jersey could cover. It might come down to like kind of at the end, but we're going to lay off of that. Philadelphia was hotter than usual from three-point line. I do like how they spread the ball around, though. 75% of their field goals made were off of assists. So it's a good sign, especially with a ball-dominant guy like James Harden in your equation. So Philly and Boston both look good. We'd like to fast forward to that second-round matchup. But I do like the late game. And, you know, when do you ever get anything pertinent out of an on-court or in-game coach's interview? I mean, they can't wait to get out of it. But Mike Brown said, hey, we got to push it. I know they like to go fast, but we like to go faster. They cannot play at that pace again without it going over. It's a big one, 239.5, but I like the over. And I also like Sacramento. This is a big public spot for Golden State to bounce back, the defending champs. But Sacramento won the game and started out 0 for their first 15 from three-point range. I doubt that they'll start off so poorly second time around. A lot of first-timers, a lot of debutantes in that first game on Saturday night. It was the game of the weekend. I'm taking Sacramento plus the 2 in the game as well. So Sacramento and the over on the late game that tips at 9 o'clock tonight on TNT.
Jimmy Ott, he's at Lod Cook tonight. Follows us, Game Time with Jimmy Ott. You can hear it on ESPN Baton Rouge or the Jimmy Ott's Game Time Facebook page. Otter, we appreciate it. Matt's back tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, Musso. Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely. That is Jimmy Ott again. Join him next. Colucci, Islanders, Devils, Golden Knights, all to win their series. Otter, the over tonight in Sacramento, and the Kings. See you tomorrow. AFR.
AFR.
Remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Get on by, test drive any of their line of vehicles over at South Point. Remember, I tell you all the time, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can get. It's one of the reasons I love driving my Volkswagen is I know every time I put Drew in his car seat and I'm driving, I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen. Every time she leaves the house in her car, I know she's driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. And by the way, they're stylish and affordable and fun to drive. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, the all-electric, first electric SUV for everyone, the Volkswagen ID4. You can make your reservation right now at southpointvw.com. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.